Hi, this is Jana Mori from the Career Center at Santa Barbara City College, and we are welcoming you to a LinkedIn workshop today. We are excited to have Chris Mosier with us, who works for LinkedIn. He'll tell a little bit about what he does when he introduces himself as well. We are recording this event, and we are excited about having him share about the LinkedIn profile, how to find jobs, how to connect with alumni, and talk a little bit as well about LinkedIn Learning, which we're all excited about every one of these topics because LinkedIn is such a wonderful resource for our students. So with that, Chris, would you like to go ahead and take it away?
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for giving me a little bit of time today to share. Thank you very much to the SBC Career Center. My name is Chris Mosier. I work with LinkedIn Learning, which some folks may have crossed paths with a website that and a series of books called lynda.com. So they were kind of instructional on anything from photography, business skills, learning technology and programming. Kind of as noted, these are video tutorials. And so folks may have crossed paths with Lynda in the past or LinkedIn Learning. That's the group that I'm with, and we're just down the road in Carpinteria. Lynda started in Ojai and kind of moved over to Carpinteria. So LinkedIn actually has an office of about 300 folks that are just down the road there. And today I was going to talk just a little bit about the profile, help folks with refining their profile, getting it kind of to a place that professionally represents them, as well as talking about the job search component as noted and kind of networking on the platform. So just from those introductions that you guys said, I'm very happy because that is the presentation that I prepared. So in a moment, I'm going to share my screen, but if anybody has any questions as we go, please feel free, hop off of mute and just ask your question. I don't mind you kind of jumping in while I'm doing the presentation. You can also, if you're more comfortable, put it into the chat. I'll have an eye to the chat, and I know Jan as well will be looking there. So please feel free at any time with a question, either to the chat or just unmute and feel free to ask. Let me share my screen and hop over to the presentation. So again, my name, Chris Mosier. I work with the group that is LinkedIn Learning, which is kind of under the umbrella of LinkedIn. And either just via the chat, but this is an excellent opportunity for me to make sure I've got my chat up as the chat disappeared on me for a second. But I'm interested for folks, there were a couple of folks that already mentioned that they have. Perfect, there we go, I've got my chat up. Pardon my pause there, yeah. But for those of you that have a profile, if you just want to throw in kind of to the chat, you know, kind of a yes or no to having a profile, it gives me kind of a nice little level set as we do, as we introduce here. I'll also share just at the top a little bit about LinkedIn. So we're gonna, perfect, I'm seeing some yeses already. Yeah, so I'll talk just a little bit about LinkedIn, and then we'll just walk through the profile, networking on LinkedIn, the job search. We'll cover LinkedIn Learning, and I'll save some time for Q&A. But again, if you've got questions, please hop off and unmute or just throw it into the chat at any time. LinkedIn, just by the number of folks that have a profile, is a place that I imagine you guys are already familiar with from a mission standpoint, that it really is just a place to connect folks with opportunity. So that is for professionals to share their knowledge with each other, and it's for folks to connecting to jobs, connecting into a network, building their knowledge and building their professional expertise. There is a considerable amount of folks that are on LinkedIn as a platform. So as you can see here, just membership in the hundreds of millions, the number of companies, jobs that are posted, et cetera, there's quite considerable, the volume. And so what I'm going to be kind of walking through as I talk a little bit about the profile, about networking, about job searches, is really just having you kind of tap into that particular area that you want to within it. If it is looking to build a network, that will be showing kind of how to filter your job, how to filter a search to find folks that are alumni of SBC, to find folks in an area or an industry you can kind of specialize in terms of how you connect or how you search for those folks. If it's looking for a job, to kind of help you with that. But just there is a considerable number of people, and these numbers kind of grow and grow every day. So you are in the right spot if you are looking to kind of connect to that opportunity here in the Central Coast or beyond. The first area that I want to look at is your profile. And so for folks that already have a profile, this is a bit of a review, but it's also something where you can kind of self-reflect, like as I walk through these steps of kind of saying, okay, have I done this? Have I done this? And the profile is an area that continually kind of is updated and tweaked with different items. And so some of the things that I might share, hopefully, will be new and to you as you go. The profile begins with a photo. So this is a professional photo. It does not need to be professionally taken, just a photo that you would kind of have it represents you professionally. I myself, the photo that is my LinkedIn profile, I took with my phone. I was in a hallway and there was light coming from a window, and I just kind of said, oh, this is like a nice neutral background. There's sunlight coming in through this window, and I just snapped a selfie of myself. There's a couple of photo tools. So when you upload it to LinkedIn, as you can see in the slide here, you can change a little bit of kind of zoom, the orientation of it. So you can adjust just as you would to any number of kind of Instagram, et cetera, those other apps. But yeah, it does not need to be a fancy photo. As I said, mine was literally, I was in a hallway and thought, oh, I've got a gray wall behind me. I've got sunlight in my face. Let me take the picture. But it is interesting to note that if you're looking for kind of that discoverability for recruiters that might be looking for somebody like you for a position, or folks that might be searching SBC alumni or other SBC students to look to connect and build their own networks, that adding a photo is remarkable in terms of helping to build your discoverability on the platform. So you can see members with a photo, find 9 times more connection requests, 21 times more profile views, 36 more messages. So profile is kind of that first stepping stone of just kind of professionally representing to yourself in the space, and then just adding or boosting your kind of quote unquote discoverability within LinkedIn. There is a feature that allows you to record your name. This feature is only for the mobile version. So if you're Android or iPhone, it works on the mobile. It doesn't work yet on the desktop version of LinkedIn, but you can record how to pronounce your name as part of your profile. So for folks that are looking for you, if it's, oh, I'm going to be meeting with with you, that they can go to your profile, they could click here. So this again is totally optional, but it is a place where you can just include how you pronounce your name on the platform. As you look to kind of round out your profile, one of the core things that you want to do is just add the industry, that kind of target industry that you're looking to move into. Again, this is a space that just boosts your discoverability. So as you're kind of editing that core part of your profile, adding the industry really does, as you can see, kind of 9 times more profile views, that you're seeing kind of 300,000 more people that are searching, that this boosts just the ability for people to find you on the platform. There's also a feature if you're in job search mode of adding a kind of branded area of kind of showing you're open to work. It can be it could be a display that is visible on the profile, or merely just indicating that you are looking for work will flag kind of the search. So as recruiters might be searching for folks like you that have your skills, that just adding that you're open to work just increases kind of that discoverability feature as well. Oh, I see. Lighting is showing the white circle here. Yeah, let me turn off. I was always, I'm very mindful of how I'm lit in any room. And so, yeah, if this is less distracting, I'll turn that light off there on the side. The next kind of core portion of the profile is a summary. And this summary is really just that kind of professional about you. It's introducing folks to you that might be finding or discovering you for the first time on the platform. So it is that kind of calling card that you want to put forward. There's a couple of parameters that are recommended in terms of how this summary looks. One of them would be kind of more than 40 words, kind of in that space. And it's really a place for you to focus on your accomplishments and your aspirations. As I look to draft, like as I sat down to put my summary together, kind of use these 3 items as kind of the guideposts for it, of thinking of something that is true to you, something that reflects you professionally. Very often as just a point of starting, like when I sit down to try to write, how would I shape the summary, is to think of a mission, to think of your personal mission. If there's a motto, if there's a quote that you use, those things could serve as kind of that jumping off point. So opening the summary with just a quote that you find meaningful, opening with a personal motto that you have inside that space. And also you could kind of think, if you're looking for just kind of a brainstorm way to start writing it, is what do you want others to say about your work, and kind of using that as your summary. I often, when I did my own job search, I wanted to make sure that I was using language that the companies that I wanted to work for would recognize as kind of language that they would also use. So to do so, what I did was to look at the job descriptions for jobs that I was applying to, jobs that I was hoping to get. And I would look to see if there was a commonality or similarity in some of the ways that they described those jobs. And then I started to use that language. Now, as I did, kind of that number one point, true to yourself, like I was still true to me. It wasn't as though I was kind of lying or exaggerating, but I wanted to use language that reflected what they did. And just to kind of show you an example, so this was kind of grabbing two job descriptions. And as I read those job descriptions, the highlighted portion in yellow were just where I saw kind of themes. I saw words that were kind of repeated. That idea of passionate about working together towards a goal of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, accelerating the world towards a more sustainable future. So these were job descriptions of jobs that I was looking to apply for. And as I saw these descriptions, that I could then say, okay, let me, there's clearly this kind of like accelerating this transition, more sustainable future. And those were things that aligned with me. And so I was like, okay, these are words that this company is using. Let me also use these words in my summary as I describe, my kind of personal mission to kind of bring in. So again, these are kind of all under the banner of being true to yourself, of representing yourself accurately professionally. But if these things speak to you, like using words or using how they describe their job description can kind of help you to write that summary and help you to know that you were kind of using terms that are very similar or aligned with the way that a company would discuss themselves or discuss the person that they want in that role. And kind of highlighting down at the bottom too, delivering this was from a kind of a customer service manager, and it was delivering world-class customer experience to be our customer's best service provider. So if that is kind of a position or a role that you're looking for, using kind of some of that language of like, okay, I can use this as kind of my inspiration point as I write my own summary. I also kind of agree, like I want to be my customer's best service provider. I want to kind of drive world-class customer experience, and seeing this knows, okay, this is how those companies are talking about the position. So in my summary, I can kind of use some of these words, use these turns of phrase in my summary as I kind of put together and describe myself. After the summary within your profile, there's a section that is optional for featured content. And this is a space where if there is photography, if there are videos that you have kind of been a part, if there are projects that are hosted online, if there was a newspaper article that was written about you, your work, if at SBCC there is kind of a web-based element, any kind of rich media, photos, video, etc. This is a space where you can highlight it. It can also a place where if you take something, a piece of work that you're very proud of at SBCC, you could post that as a post on LinkedIn, sharing that particular work, sharing that particular insight, and then you could link to that in this featured area. So this featured area is optional, but it's really just a place to highlight if there are particular things that you've done that you want to kind of highlight or draw attention to that may already have been written about in the newspaper, may already exist on the school's website, etc., that you can bring those in. It can also just be a set of photos. If there was a project, a build that you did, that you can take photos of that item, and that can be this featured content in the space here. Again, an optional section, but just another place to kind of highlight or spotlight things that are unique to you that kind of highlight your expertise. Transitioning down in the profile to the sections that are your work experience. So this is describing your work experience in each of the roles that you've had. And as you kind of look to say like, well, what would I say in this? That I kind of harken back to what I spoke of in the summary, that idea of kind of looking at job descriptions, looking at how they phrase it. So if you are struggling to say, how could I describe or what would I say about a particular job that I've had in the past, that I would recommend kind of going to job descriptions that were for either that exact job or jobs very similar, and starting to look at kind of what is the verbiage that companies are using to describe those roles that would also be true for what you did: mentoring, monitoring, mentoring, training crew members, tracking productivity goals, et cetera, using those as kind of inspiration as you start to put your own and assemble yours together. You can also use volunteer experience to kind of fill out in addition to work experience as you kind of highlight the profile. Again, it's optional, but volunteer experience just rounds out the character, says a little bit about you. It also is discoverability. If folks are looking for people that are associated with a nonprofit, your profile would come up in that search because you would list it in that volunteer experience. And there's also a section for kind of skills, endorsements, that are included in that section. So towards the bottom of your profile page that you can highlight. And this is a variety of skills connected to kind of a business leadership, productivity tools such as Microsoft Excel or Outlook, et cetera. You can highlight skills, and then other folks, when they view your profile, could endorse those skills that you have. There's additionally kind of the last section to touch on is the recommendations. Recommendations is a space as I was graduating from school that there were other students that I'd worked on a group project together. And to kind of round out my LinkedIn profile, that I asked these students that had been in this group with me, I said, hey, could you write a recommendation talking about, my collaboration or my communication on that particular project? And then I could also kind of reciprocate for you, like I can write a recommendation for you. So again, this can kind of be tailored. So I reached out to folks that I knew and specifically said, hey, like, could you go to LinkedIn, write a recommendation for me about, this technique or about this tool, that we, in this case, kind of collaborating and communicating in a project, be it project management. Hey, like, could you speak a little bit to the way that I kind of ensured that the timelines were met? We delivered on time for this project. And so you could reach out to that person and similarly say, like, I can also write one for you on that side. There's also a few other kind of components: location, listing schools that you've attended, publications that you may have written, accomplishments. Those are also sections down at the bottom of the profile there. As we kind of round out discussing the profile, are there any questions? Folks can hop off of mute or throw into the chat if you have any questions on profiles. Feel free, if you do, kind of in this moment, to jump in with anything on that side. For the networking side, LinkedIn is an excellent place just to build that professional network. It's also a great place as you start to target your job search. If there's particular companies and you want to reach out to people that work at a company that you would like to work for, using LinkedIn as that networking platform to kind of connect with those folks can be a very powerful strategy. So as you start to kind of build your network, that I would recommend starting with people just reaching out with requests to LinkedIn. You search for that person's name, and as for those folks just to ask can we connect on LinkedIn? You can look for alumni, you can look for coworkers at your current role. I do kind of highly suggest that you add a note. So as opposed to just saying, clicking the plus button, like I would like to connect with this person, plus button, to add a little note, just to say like, hey, Jeanette, we met at this LinkedIn workshop. I'm interested to connect with you on LinkedIn. That personalization of that note kind of reminds people, it also just creates that personal connection that lets people kind of more likely to kind of follow up and connect with you via LinkedIn. And as I did that example with Jeanette, please feel free after our meeting here to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'll into the chat just as I'll add in kind of my link to my LinkedIn profile. Happy to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. As you search, this could be searching in this particular case for people at the very top of LinkedIn, be it if you're on a mobile device or be it if you're on LinkedIn.com, in that search bar, that there's a number of filters that will allow you to really pinpoint to kind of target your search. So you can see that you can look for people, for jobs, posts, companies, schools, etc. All of these are filters that are available to you. And on this next page, it's going to be quite a number of them as they kind of jump out here. So this is that kind of advanced, that green all filters button. If you kind of click that, you can get this much more detailed view. And So as you start looking, if there's a particular company, so you're looking for people that work at XYZ company, you can see kind of in that left-hand column about halfway down that there are companies. So you can click to put a specific company in. You can also network connected to alumni. So folks that are at SBCC, if you were to visit SBCC's LinkedIn page, you'll see that there is about the fifth item in that navigation bar is alumni. It's highlighted in green text here on the screen for San Jose State. So if you click on that alumni tab, you can then search for alumni. You can use the name of those alumni if you're searching for them. You could search by a particular company that alumni might work at in that search. So you can get very detailed in terms of the search as you explore and connect with alumni. It's a great strategy as you're starting your job search to find alumni in a particular field that you want to move into, to put their name in, and then just to reach out, adding that note, hey, I'm graduating, I just graduated, looking to work into this field, like to connect on LinkedIn. I add this, this is actually taken from a course that is on LinkedIn Learning. There's a job interview skills course on LinkedIn Learning that I've found incredibly valuable as I was doing my own job search. But this recommendation came from Sarah Johnson, the author of that course, and she spoke of the kind of informal interview. So just the, hey, I'd like career advice, I'd like an informal interview. And she provided this kind of sample of this text. It's one of the reasons that LinkedIn Learning is, I find, very valuable, that there are kind of like these insights. It's not just, oh, here's an informational interview, but actually providing the template for how you could reach out to somebody, an alumni that's working in that industry, somebody that's working at a company that you would like to work for, and kind of using this as your intro. Again, kind of tailoring it to you, but that idea of, oh, here's kind of a sample of how you might reach out to ask for career advice, to ask for an informal interview. As you kind of network into that particular organization, that person becomes a champion for you on the inside. If a job posting comes up at that company, you could reach out to that person first. Hey, I saw this job has come up. You'd given me some career advice a couple of months ago. Do you have more information on the job, or could you introduce me to the manager that's hiring for that particular position? Rounding out as we kind of look at the job search and those job search tools that are available to you at LinkedIn. Similar to looking for individual people, you can use those filters for the job search. So from LinkedIn.com, from the main, kind of that main LinkedIn.com, that you'll see the ability to search for jobs. It's kind of highlighted in green just to the left here. And once you click to look for jobs, you can specify a particular location, such as the Central Coast. You could specify the name of a company, an industry. You can kind of give keywords in that search. But then there's, similar to looking for people, there's a remarkable number of kind of filters or details that you can tailor your search to. So this detailed version is just coming from that all filters button, which is kind of on the far right-hand side of the screen there, all filters. So once you're looking for a job, if you click all filters, that you're given quite an extensive dropdown. This allows you to tailor by location, if the role is remote, if it's hybrid, if it's in person, by industry, function. There's considerable detail that you can use. So as you're starting to do that job search, you can really drill down and get very specific about the types of roles that you're looking for. Once you have done this and set up this search, you can also set it up as an email reminder, so that based on all this criteria, if you've drilled down to the location, the function, etc., once you've gotten to that level, that it will ask you if you want an email reminder anytime that a job is posted that meets all those criteria. So that is kind of also an option as you're conducting that job search side. And kind of rounding us out is just LinkedIn Learning, which was something I kind of mentioned just a few times. It's something you have access to as students at SBCC. It's also something as you leave SBCC that you'll have access to through the Santa Barbara Public Library system. So if you have a library card, you also have access to LinkedIn Learning through there. But LinkedIn Learning is a wonderful place that it was, I apologize if is it Manisha, who mentioned earlier kind of IT project management? LinkedIn Learning actually has quite a considerable amount of PMI accredited courses. So as you're studying for the accreditation for PMI, for a PMP or CMP, or kind of those affiliated items within the Project Management Institute, that there is, and I see Jana has just put in that students can access LinkedIn Learning through their pipeline account on the Student Resources tab. But yeah, specific to project management, that there are a number of courses that count as continuing education credits for PMI. So if you're studying for the PMP, the courses on LinkedIn Learning count as that, count as kind of credit taken as part of the accreditation process. If you already have an accreditation such as a PMP, and I believe that there are 7 kind of different business credentials accreditations, that you can use the courses on LinkedIn Learning as the kind of continuing education credits for those. So if you specifically have something like project management, there are a wealth of courses for you. If you're looking to just see kind of resume tips, if you're looking, as kind of noted in the center of the course, to find a job in the hidden job market, which was where I'd kind of pulled that informal ask template from, that there are a number of places. If you want to learn more about the Python programming language, strategies for data analysis, there's even a course that is helping you use data to improve your fantasy sports like fantasy football or fantasy baseball. Like, there are a wealth of courses across business, technology, creative fields that are here to help. And that kind of rounds out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so we all come back. But yeah, I kind of open the floor to any questions that folks have.
I think, Chris, right now what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and we'll go from here. So here we go.